What's up, everybody, and welcome to ITG Daily, the show that brings you the hottest in gaming news. I'm Drew Bosley. You can find me on Twitter at ArtisticGamer28, and that's the one, the only. It is Scott Savage. You can find him on Twitter at Todd Savage. Scott, what's happening, buddy?
I finally remembered what I was doing last night. Why I was up so late yet again. I started playing Dead Space.
Oh,
again.
Dude. Really? You know the remake is coming, right?
Oh, I'm so excited for it. Yeah, you know what? Maybe I should switch to Dead Space 2 so I don't ruin the spoilers that are 14 years old at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, Scott, today at 11 a.m. Eastern, you know what went live besides us over on twitch.tv/the official ITG and YouTube? And then if you can't catch us live, of course, you can always catch us later inside the game.ca podcast services, TV streaming networks around the globe. But your review and Steve's review of Uncharted, the Legacy Collection for PC has dropped. You want to give early impressions, and then everybody can go check it out over at our YouTube channel or our website.
It's kind of mid. I'm just kidding. It's definitely a huge success. I can't believe I slept on the series for this long, but I better stop myself there.
I've been telling you about Uncharted for years, Scott.
I will no longer call it Dude Raider. More than that to me.
We made it. We got him. That's the way it goes. It's dude, Uncharted. Will we see another Uncharted at this point is my biggest question. Right now, I'd just be happy with getting The Last of Us multiplayer back.
I can only hope for PC day one.
Yeah, that's not gonna happen. Come on. Good luck.
Not with Sony ever, no.
Nah, maybe one day. I don't know. Maybe when Jim Ryan's not there. Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens with Sony. But it's definitely won't happen anytime soon. But dude, let's get to today's show, as we're kind of already all over the place. Activision's largest title, Call of Duty, won't be bringing the series to Xbox Game Pass service anytime soon. A new Mortal Kombat game is on the way for 2023, and let me tell you, it is not what you thought it was. And more details emerge with Bayonetta 3 dev team and the voice actor, Hellena Taylor, as the disaster continues, Scott.
Yeah, I was going to say, Kung Fu, the legend continues.
Yeah, let's get into it, as Call of Duty may not appear in Game Pass for a number of years due to prior Activision-Sony deal. This comes from Jordan Midler over at VGC.
Oh, that's funny. I thought Sony didn't make those deals.
Call of Duty shots fired. Call of Duty games seemingly won't appear on Game Pass for a number of years due to an existing deal between Activision and Sony. Microsoft recently published its response to the Competition and Markets Authority decision to review the $69 billion merger deal to several concerns, including the impact of competition in the consoles, gaming, streaming, and subscription spaces. I wonder if this is, oh man, like, okay, let me get into the rest of the article before I start going off here. In it, a footnote references a tweet from Phil Spencer alluding to prior agreements between Activision and Sony, which would prohibit Microsoft from adding Call of Duty to Game Pass, even in the event of the acquisition being approved. Quote, the agreement between Activision Blizzard and Sony includes restrictions on the ability of Activision Blizzard to place Call of Duty titles on Game Pass for a number of years, end quote, the footnote reads. Dude, it keeps going. There's a lot here. Go check out Jordan's article. There's a lot to unpack. Scott, high level thoughts right now, though. Where are you at with this whole fiasco?
Well, we've heard a little bit of the idea that Sony pays off certain developers to avoid Game Pass, and that's a business decision. But this is this is most likely the most notable title that this has happened with. Call of Duty is a ginormous juggernaut, but even if this does go through, this deal, and I believe it will, I think it's proper for Microsoft to respect this kind of business deal.
Yep. In
the same way that they've respected Bethesda Arcane with Deathloop being a timed exclusive.
For sure. Now we see Deathloop made its way over to Game Pass, but it was a small window. Maybe was that not even a year? I wouldn't think at this point.
I can't recall when the game actually dropped.
It might have been 6 months.
About a year.
Yeah, I want to say 6 months to a year in that deal. But I wonder if this plays to the favor then of Microsoft, because right now there is a massive struggle with the UK region getting involved and really trying to prevent Microsoft from acquiring Activision and Blizzard. So I wonder if this kind of plays into that realm now for Microsoft to then acquire them, because they're like, hey, Call of Duty is not coming anytime soon.
Yeah.
Right? Like, does that
softens the concern for sure?
A little bit. And their biggest concern is that it's going to be a monopoly within the industry, that Microsoft will own absolutely nearly everything, some of the biggest titles. I get the concerns, but Microsoft has already stated that it's not coming to Game Pass anytime soon. Now we know why it's not coming anytime soon. It's because Sony made a deal with Activision Blizzard to keep it away from the platform. So there is that in mind. But in the grand scheme of things, they're going to take a year off. Right? Activision has already said Call of Duty is going to take a year off next year. We are going to have Warzone 2.0. So there is that coming around. But for the Game Pass service, it's going to elude that for a few years yet. And I wonder if that will help or hinder in the grand scheme of things over in the UK to make that final decision of whether Microsoft will actually be able to own Activision Blizzard at some point. And what the future of Call of Duty looks like. Does it? Microsoft, and Phil Spencer's already said too that he doesn't want to keep it off of PlayStation.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I think there was an analysis done. There would stand to make a whole lot more money keeping it on PlayStation, just selling more of the title underneath the Xbox banner.
It makes a ton of sense. Look at Minecraft. Minecraft is everywhere. But take a look at Bethesda, because we talked about Bethesda in the past as well, with their $7 billion deal, which nobody blinked an eye at until it dropped. It was like, whoa, that's a huge purchase. Now it's like a drop in the bucket compared to this one. But either way, they are bringing Starfield exclusively to Xbox, right? The next Skyrim title, probably exclusive to Xbox. And day one, going to Game Pass.
And that, to me, that's bigger than Call of Duty could be, but I'm not certain if the numbers work out that way.
It's funny, right? I do think it is a bigger move too, because Call of Duty is such a worldwide brand. Why wouldn't you want to keep it on every platform around, kind of like Minecraft in that essence, so that you can profit on so much? Here you take a beloved studio, because Bethesda is really essentially one studio, but it's under a bunch of other umbrellas, Arcane and Sledgehammer, not Sledgehammer, Machine Games, and so many others. So there are a few other there that are partnered with or under the umbrella of Bethesda. But at the grand scheme of things, when you think of Bethesda, dude, what do you think about? You think about Skyrim, you think about Fallout, right? And then if you can only get those titles on one platform, you're willing to probably take that jump, especially if you love Fallout to the extent that some people we know of really do. Like Nate loves that game, Fallout 4, Fallout franchise. We talked about yesterday about New Vegas 2 possibly coming around at some point, right? Like there's a huge following just for Fallout. But if you can keep the next Fallout game for Xbox, it's huge.
I would follow that to the Sega Dreamcast 2 if I had to. That had serious buying power.
Sega. Yeah, for sure. It's a huge move to then transition certain IPs to keep it exclusive. But does it really warrant keeping Call of Duty exclusive in this opportunity, or are you better off to let it keep on stay on other platforms as well and just profit from everybody? Because you know you're going to get a cut from PlayStation, which we're probably going to irritate PlayStation because now they're paying Microsoft, right? Like, let's think about that. So, but Game Pass, dude, is a juggernaut of a service as well. Often games will come there. Like right now, I'm playing a Plague's Tale Requiem. Just started it. Like I'm literally 10 minutes in. And then we bounced last night to a review game. So it was one of those.
I can't recall the title of the game that I keep playing. It's something Lodos War. And it's a Metroidvania. Huh. It's on Game Pass, but it's got like a super long title.
So like Game Pass is such an incredible service. We talk about it all the time. We were shocked that PlayStation didn't follow suit. Instead, they did their own PlayStation tiered structure model, and but when it comes to Game Pass, everybody fears it, including PlayStation. This is why they made this deal, right? They don't want Call of Duty to go over there, and then now that they're looking to acquire Activision Blizzard, that makes them even more nervous, I think, at this point. But dude, we'll keep watching and see what happens, but there's a lot to kind of come around, and a lot of people are having doubts whether or not this is actually going to happen now.
Yeah, it's so much more complicated than anybody first expected.
Yes, absolutely. I didn't see all of this back and forth of, well, you shouldn't acquire them, because I know people are nervous, but at the grand scheme of things, I thought it would have been said and done with already. And Microsoft they just follow suit.
you can't do this because it would change the industry. Well, yeah, that's why they're doing it.
This is why companies buy companies, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. If Microsoft can't buy Activision Blizzard, they can buy us. So, just kidding. Dude, let's get into what Warner Brothers is up to.
I do like green. I could play the green up a little bit.
Warner Brothers Games announced Mortal Kombat Onslaught. You ready for this? It's a mobile exclusive RPG.
Yeah, I was quite puzzled when I saw anything about this.
Man. Oh. There's Mortal Kombat X. And I don't know if Mortal Kombat 11 is on mobile or not, but dude, I'm Mortal Kombat for the console, not this. And this is definitely different. Warner Brothers Games has, this comes from Charles over at Game Informer, by the way. Warner Brothers Games has announced Mortal Kombat Onslaught, a mobile exclusive Mortal Kombat experience. The game is described as a collection role-playing game where players build a roster of fighters from the Mortal Kombat universe and unleash them in a massive real-time group battles. Is it kind of like auto chess, Scott? Does that make sense? Right?
Yeah, I'm wondering. I'm very curious to see how this would play out. Is it kind of like a auto chess, or does it play out kind of like a tactics wars? But
I don't know. It's more than just battles, though. Onslaught is also said to feature a cinematic story experience where fighters have to defeat a dark and dangerous threat. This is not the first time Mortal Kombat has appeared on mobile devices. Mortal Kombat Mobile was released in 2015 alongside Mortal Kombat X and eventually adapted characters and features from Mortal Kombat 11 as well. Again, that's what I mean. Dude, I'm not over there on that platform because I'm on the console. But Mortal Kombat Mobile has been downloaded over 150 million times since its launch. So it's no wonder Warner Brothers Games wants to release more games from the franchise. October 8th marked the series' 30th anniversary of Mortal Kombat, and Mortal Kombat Onslaught seems to be a celebration of that. It's interesting. We know right now, at least we thought, dude, I'm really starting to question it now. Are we still getting Mortal Kombat 12? Or is this what the Mortal Kombat game is?
I want to believe we're still getting Mortal Kombat.
Oh, I hope so.
You've got me thinking about that Diablo stage performance where
Yikes.
Nobody wanted to hear that. What, you guys have a phone, right?
Oh, that's, yeah. So we'll see what happens. Dude, I'm going to check it out. I got to check it out, honestly.
I want to try the Mortal Kombat mobile now from 2015 because that completely skipped under the radar for me. And perhaps for good reason, but I'm curious.
Yeah. Brad joins us over on Twitch and says, I hope Microsoft gives Sony just as much growth with their next purchase.
Grief, yeah.
Grief there. I'm like, what? Yeah, there it is. Yeah, it's interesting to see how that's going to play out, Brad. There's a lot to unpack yet, and I don't think we're going to see the end of it anytime soon.
I'm a salt miner, though, online, so this does bring me a lot of entertainment.
It's unfortunate. It shouldn't be this difficult.
Ryan memes.
Yeah.
No, really.
Right? It shouldn't be this difficult, but it seems to be. There's a lot more behind the scenes than we understand. And speaking of behind the scenes, something we don't quite understand either is tense pay dispute overshadows Nintendo's upcoming Bayonetta 3. This comes from Jason Schreier over at Bloomberg. This is as it continues, Scott. A pay dispute between the creator of the critically acclaimed video game series and his star voice actor reignited a long simmering debate over wages in the industry. As is often the case in these sorts of disagreements, the details surrounding negotiations and casting for the upcoming game Bayonetta 3 are more complicated than what has been portrayed publicly. Ready for this? The videos went viral, racking up more than 9.5 million views on Twitter. Wow. Taylor's story. Very quickly. Taylor's story touched a nerve among gamers. Voice actors are beloved by fans, but fail to command anything anywhere close to what Hollywood actors makes. Game actors have long complained of being underpaid and underappreciated. Some have said they receive little information about their roles until they show up in the recording booth. Scott, dude, that's got to be frustrating. But
yeah, actually, I spoke with David Hayter about that way back when we were talking about how did you feel when you came in and Raiden was in the booth.
Yeah,
and he said, "Hey, you're in my spot."
Right, like it is one of those situations. I was talking to Jane Perry and David Bateson about the Hitman 3 and Hitman franchise and just how like a lot of it's unexpected sometimes of what they get into. but they love what they do, and that's why they keep pushing on, right? But in the case of Bayonetta 3, the developer appeared to be determined to rehire Taylor, according to two people familiar with the negotiations, as well as documentation reviewed by Bloomberg. Here's where their accounts differ. Platinum Games sought to hire Taylor for at least 5 sessions, each paying $3,000 to $4,000 for 4 hours in the studio, said the people, who asked not to be identified because they are unauthorized or aren't authorized to discuss private negotiation contracts. That would make the total for the game at least $15,000. In response, they said Taylor asked for a 6-figure sum, as well as residuals on the game. Platinum declined, and following lengthy negotiations, took auditions for a new actor. Platinum later offered Taylor a cameo in the game for the fee of 1 session, which she turned down, the people said. In the email, Taylor described his account as an absolute lie, and said Platinum was trying to save their butts and the game. She said she stood by everything she said in the video. Quote, "I would like to put this whole bloody franchise behind me. Quite frankly, get on with my life in the theater," end quote, she wrote. Representatives for Platinum Games and Nintendo didn't respond to requests for comment. In her videos, Taylor mentioned Jennifer Hale, the prolific voice actor who took over the role of Bayonetta in the new game. Quote, "I wish her all the joy in the world. I wish her all the jobs, but she has no right to say she is the voice of Bayonetta," Taylor said. Quote, "I created that voice. She has no right to sign merchandise as Bayonetta." Wow, Scott.
Ooh, it's people may have a different opinion on that, and that's fine, but I think about it in terms of David Hayter. Can I be Snake and then claim Snake is me? I am Snake. It doesn't work like that.
No, right? You're playing a character. That is it at the end of the day, unfortunately, right? So voice actors are going to change. Steve Bloom, David Hayter, Jane Perry have all come to Jennifer Hale's defense. Thanks, Brad, for that little bit of info. So yeah, man.
Yeah, I've read quite a lot of the response there, and there's been a huge amount of support for Taylor, and Jennifer Hale in turn took a lot of flack for this situation spinning out, and Stephen Blum specifically came to her defense. It's been such a mess, but everybody's kind of drawing straws and lining up on either side of the line here.
Yeah, it's wow, man, nobody saw this coming, right? I think that's one of the biggest things is the fiasco behind it all. Everybody who's a fan of Platinum is just looking to play a good game and experience it. It's unfortunate that Taylor and Hale are in the midst of what really shouldn't be any issue at all. I get where Taylor is coming from and her perspective of it, but at the end of the day, Bayonetta isn't her character. It is Platinum Games character in my eyes, right? Like that's where I'm kind of coming from it from a different perspective again, but we've seen it, dude. Snake is David Hayter to me, and will always be David Hayter. And then you get into Metal Gear Solid 5 and like, yo, that is not right. It's not David Hayter. He's like, whoa, this is weird. And people are going to get that experience here going into Bayonetta 3 as well. And so I can see where it's coming from, but they don't own.
The only way it works in the case of Metal Gear is, well, you have to play the game, but
I played it.
It makes sense that he has a different voice. I'll just say that.
And that was the decision made at the time for making that game, where here, this is completely different, right? It was Taylor who said, no, I want more money. And then we're like, well, no, that's not going to happen. And so then she's no longer Bayonetta. So yeah, there's a lot going on.
Right? If I do that to my job,
it's business.
Eventually they pick somebody else. Yeah, it's a business decision,
right? Which sucks, because if you're playing with your heartstrings, it'd be a whole different ball game. But we've been in a whole different situation as well for that. Either way, it's one of those things, right? At the end of the day, get ready, because it's not like you're getting a horrible voice actor to replace Bayonetta. Jennifer Hale is amazing, so it's just time to move on to something different. And I don't think if they do a Bayonetta 4, you're not going to get Taylor back. Right, you're going to be moving on.
I was speaking about talking to David Hayter, and Brad says in the chat here, well, you did have that snake off with him. Yeah, I did. He was very complimentary.
Nice. David Hager sounds cool. Dude, I was so mad I missed that. I think it was at my kid's birthday though, so
I try not to rub that in too much. Yeah,
yeah.
It really was a good time.
Yeah, there'll be other times. I'll have to hit him up or something. Dude, let's get on to the DualSense Edge controller global release date set for January 26th. Let's go.
This has you excited.
I'm very excited, man. No, this is long overdue. Very long overdue. This comes from Michael over at PSU. Sony Interactive Entertainment has announced that the DualSense Edge controller will be released worldwide on January 26, 2023. The DualSense Edge controller will retail for $200 and will be available for pre-order on October 25th. You'll also be able to pick up the replaceable stick modules day and date with the controller itself. Here's what we get. The DualSense Edge wireless controller, USB braided cable, 2 standard caps, 2 high dome caps, 2 low dome caps, 2 half dome back buttons, 2 lever back buttons, connector housing, and a carrying case. Scott, I'm pretty excited.
Okay.
I'm nice. It's cool to see that they're finally giving us that elite controller we're so used to over on Xbox.
Yeah, it's finally the equivalent on the other side.
Yeah. So I'm down for that. I'm looking forward to it.
I really like my Elite controller on Xbox.
Oh, dude, I love my Elite controller. It is a little rattly right now inside, and some buttons are starting to fade away on me, so it's time to get a new one. But
hey, you didn't play ping pong with that one, did you?
No, man, that hurts. All right, time to move on. A Plague Tale Requiem dev admits the door is never closed in regards to a follow-up, but nothing is planned right now. Again, Michael over at PSU, speaking during an interview with PlayStation Blog, a Plague Tale Requiem game director, Kevin Chuteau, has revealed that there are no plans for a sequel to the game right now, although hasn't completed... Man, there's been some things in here. I had to fix this a little bit. Completely ruled out anything out, saying the door is never closed. Quote, I think for now it's the end, but the door is never closed, and we'll see the player reception. We want to see their reaction before deciding anything. They are driving our production, and if they don't like what we've done, we need to do something else. Dude, I am 10 minutes into the game, like I just said, and I cannot wait to go back. My wife and I are going to play it together, so it's kind of slowing me down. But it's one of those things, first 10 minutes, I'm like, man, this is gorgeous. Like, holy wow. Blown away visually already within the first 10 minutes. I already did some stealth stuff. I'm like, I'm down. I can't wait. Looking forward to it.
Have you seen like a million rats on the screen at once?
Not yet. Not yet.
Okay.
They're coming. the rats are definitely coming though, Scott. It's one of those things that you will it just kind of goes with the Plague Tale, right? It'd be weird if the rats weren't there. We watched a follow-up video, just kind of refresh our memory about it last night, and then kicked right into the game, and then from there I got hit up and we jumped into a review game. So it's the way we roll, Scott. Yeah, dude, I'm not complaining by any stretch of the means. I was looking forward to I was so excited to jump in. I like just sat down for the night, right? Ready to go. And yeah, I had to move on. I was like, well, that's the way that goes. So I'll play it tomorrow. Yeah. Review games versus not review games sometimes.
A lot of the time I appreciate having that direction, really. Because I'll play anything and everything. I crush games.
Dude, it's one of those things I get to the point where like, what do I play? If I'm done my review games for the week, I'm like, now what do I do? Right?
Yeah, I like to load up the Battlefield and feel bad.
Yo, Kyle was in Battlefield last night. I'm calling him out on it right now. He was playing Battlefield last night. He's having a good time, he says. I'm like, really? He goes, yeah, I was playing it last week. I'm like, well, you didn't hit me up. So he's got to hit me up. And I think all three of us need to jump in and check it out.
Definitely.
But Hazard Zone, dude, we gotta play Hazard Zone. All right, Scott, let's wrap up today's show, everybody. As you often know here, we do tend to go off the rails a little bit, but we do have one game out today. What is it, Scott? It's a big one.
Yeah, that's the aforementioned Uncharted Legacy of Thieves collection is now on PC. This includes A Thief's End and Lost Legacy DLC.
Yeah, go check that out. If you haven't played it yet for some particular reason, you've been waiting, holding it like Scott on PC, now's your chance. But Scott, just like that, our chance is up. This has been ITG Daily, the show that brings you the hottest in gaming news. You can join us live at 11 a.m. Eastern over on twitch.tv/theofficial ITG, as well as YouTube at ITG. But if you can't join us live, hit us up later inside the game.ca podcast services and TV streaming networks around the globe. Till tomorrow, everybody, I'm Drew, that's Scott, and we'll see you inside the game.